this is really urgent. Just tell me where we can meet.
Just tell me where you'll be and the directions. I'll meet you there.
Corina, many years ago, before you even came into this world, your mother was married to my son, the real owner of Las Bandidas. Why hasn't your father told you anything about it?
They called you up to offer you a job.
Yes.
How come? Who is sick, eh?
Just an old friend's husband. Do you remember Malena?
Corey? What's up? What happened?
Fabi, I know everything. Now I know everything.
It's exactly 1 p.m. East African time. Good afternoon. This is the great KBC, and you're just in time for KBC Lunchtime News. We have a comprehensive bulletin lined up here for you, including the horrors from Shakahola. But before we delve into that issue, we are expecting the CS to be addressing journalists a little bit later. We begin with Malaria Day, where the war against malaria continues to intensify, with Kenya having reduced its prevalence by 50% in the last decade. Although government efforts have over the years yielded results, more still needs to be done so as to achieve the zero malaria target. Several hospitals in Western have in the meantime received malaria drugs from a multi-nation firm to supplement government efforts.
As the world marks the World Malaria Day, Kenyans still remain at risk despite strides made towards achieving zero malaria illness and deaths. According to the Ministry of Health, malaria prevalence has reduced by 50% in the last decade. The proportion of outpatient visits for malaria fell from 16% in 2017 to 6% in 2022 in public healthcare facilities. Further boost efforts by the government in fighting malaria, GVS Pharma, an African multi-nation firm, has donated anti-malaria drugs in Western region.
Each hostel is going to receive a donation worth 300 to 350,000. So some of the hostels that stands to benefit from this particular donation includes Jaramogi Odinga Teaching and Referral Hostel, Kisumu County Referral Hostel, Busia County Teaching and Referral Hostel, Lumumba Sub-County Hostel.
Through their Act for Africa campaign, an initiative towards ensuring a malaria-free continent, the firm aims at increasing awareness on malaria and improve access to the life-saving drugs in the region.
Malaria still remains among our top 10 diseases in the facility, and it still remains the commonest cause of morbidity and mortality until the day that we'll eradicate it.
It is our belief that this particular program will go a long way in curbing and reducing malaria in Kenya and in Africa.
The World Malaria Day is being marked today under the theme, Time to Deliver Zero Malaria. Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Very well, some commendable figures on one of the killer diseases in the country. Well, from there we now revisit our top story, where we cross over to the county of Kilifi, to be specific, Shakahola, where our reporter Njue Karisa has been on standby for the last couple of days to bring us the latest, but I'm informed we are not yet ready with that. We'll be right back with that report. But elsewhere, Peter Kiptanui Lelei has been sworn in as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Police Service Commission, NPSC. Lelei takes over from Dr. Silas Olo Makopio, who has been in an acting capacity since the 1st of March 2022. During the ceremony at the Supreme Court that was presided over by Chief Justice Martha Koome, the new CEO expressed confidence in reforming the police service owing to his vast experience in the service.
I, Peter Kiptanui Lelei, having been appointed Commission Secretary and Chief Executive Officer.
After taking the oath of office, the new National Police Service Commission CEO said that he will use his over 30 experience in bringing in reforms which include good synergy among the police units, remuneration of police officers, as well as creating a good relationship between police officers and the general public.
I shall immerse all my energy into its reforms, into its work ethic, and above all, so that we can get an enduring institution. My job now is to come and complete the outstanding work and to roll them smoothly so that they can be implemented smoothly.
On her part, the Chief Justice Martha Koome, who presided over the ceremony, pledged the support of the judiciary in reforming in the police service.
We in the judiciary and the wider justice sector, working under the auspices of the National Council on the Administration of Justice, pledge our support to the Commission in your efforts to create a police service that is responsive to the needs and aspirations of the Kenyan people.
Koome at the same time called upon the new executive officer to employ high levels of integrity in dispensing his mandate.
You must be guided by the principles of integrity, impartiality, and dedication to public service. I urge you to remain steadfast in implementing the National Police Commission's commitments to transform our police service into a modern and responsive policing service that is trusted and respected by the citizens it serves.
Lelei was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Police Service on the 12th of April and is set to serve for a 5-year term. Frederick Parsayo, Lunchtime News.
And now to the war on second-generation drinks. The ongoing crackdown on illicit brews has turned to haunt the administrators spearheading the exercise. In Laikipia County, chiefs and their assistants are now claiming that their lives are in danger owing to illicit brewers who threatened them for allegedly destroying their livelihood.
Assistants in Siberia village in Laikipia County said the brewers have turned their guns on them, issuing threats, with some targeting their families. Speaking when they destroyed 5,000 liters of illicit brew, Kiamaina Senior Chief Muraya Waithaga, however, vowed to stay put in the fight against vices, saying that they will not be scared.
Na wakati tulifika, kitu cha kwanza tulipata hiyo ndani ya hiyo nyumba imefungwa, tulifuja kwa sababu hakukuwa na alternative. Tulijaribu kuvuja kwa sababu tulipata ripoti iko, na ukiangalia last week na this week so far tumepika 15,000 liters.
Elsewhere in Murang'a County, thousands of Kenya Revenue Authority stickers were nabbed in a liquor outlet at Kambiti Shopping Center during a police crackdown in an illegal brewing den. Another 73 crates of counterfeit liquor were also intercepted at Kangema Shopping Center in the same area.
We have been able to seize around 112 crates of counterfeit alcoholic substances. Those are in crates. We have also managed to seize around 41 bottles of assorted counterfeit spirits. In addition to that, we also have around 2 cylinders of cake.
And away from that, the government has been urged to provide resources in efforts to help people with treatable disabilities. Speaking in Kijabe, Kiambu County, during an ability walk aimed at creating awareness on pediatric disabilities and raising funds for treatment of correctable disabilities, stakeholders led by the former representative of people with disability in the National Assembly, David Sankok, noted that most people with correctable disabilities are suffering due to inadequate funds to facilitate their treatment.
A number of stakeholders in the country are championing for the welfare of those living with disabilities through different campaigns with an aim of raising awareness as well as raising funds through charity to transform lives of those living with correctable disabilities which could be congenital or acquired in nature. They have stated that there is an increase in the number of those requiring correctional surgery, hence the need to raise more funds as surgery costs approximately 150,000 shillings.
So due to this great demand, we want to raise money, we want to expand our theatre and expand our services so we can reach every child who has a correctable deformity in Kenya.
Due diligence must be followed, but in our disability charter with the UDA, which is now the ruling party, we agreed that all equipment that are supposed to be used by persons with disability should be exempted.
Due to the high demand among the community, healthcare facilities offering these services such as the AIC Kiwa International Children's Hospital in Kijabe, Kiambu County, and non-profit Christian Healthcare are coming up with initiatives like the 5-kilometer ability walk to create awareness and raise funds to aid in transforming the lives of the young ones through surgeries and assistive devices. The community has been urged to embrace those living with disability and help them acquire treatment. Michael Mondiga for Lunchtime News, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, a section of religious leaders, politicians and barristers have blamed the society and security intelligence for failing in their duties in the Shakahola Forest massacre. The leaders blamed the National Intelligence Service NIS, saying if they would have been proactive, the Shakahola massacre could have been averted. As of Monday, a total of 73 bodies have been exhumed or are seen in Kilifi County.
Let's take an audit of what the administration has done for this matter since 2018 to this date. And if any officer or any institution is found culpable after that audit, then heads must roll. Because we cannot keep on looking at this. Unlike what perhaps some of my colleagues feel, I think this is an act of terrorism. I cannot define it any other way. A situation where children, their parents, and even business people have been radicalized. You know, I've seen students being interviewed on television saying they've dropped out of primary school, some saying they've dropped out of secondary, some have dropped from colleges, some have dropped from universities. And they quote verses, religious scripts, you know, to justify that not going to school is godly.
I think the AG should resign. I mean, we shouldn't just actually even sugarcoat it. The man, even by giving that statement, the president should have asked him to resign. I mean, if the president is asking him to resign, we will ask him to resign because he doesn't know what he's doing. He has clearly slept on the job and is busy defending his people who have slept on the job. So we cannot have a government which actually the people involved in security are actually not doing the real thing which they are paid for.
In my view, there is corporate blame, starting with the whole system of internal security that is charged with the responsibility of taking care of the Kenyan citizens. All the way from New Bakumi, going to the assistant chief, to the chief, to the DO, to everything, the whole lineup. It is to blame. Parents are to blame. How do you let your children go to a cult somewhere and you don't know where they're going? We also, church, are to blame. We should have tamed our own, if it is really our own, and teach our people the truth, so that when they are taught lies like that, they can be able to distinguish the truth from lies. So it's a whole chain. But above all, the government, that whole chain system, that is the one that we expect should be taking care of every one of us.
And still on that story, Shakahola horror, we now cross over to Kilifi County. My colleague Njue Karisa has been on standby for the last couple of days and brings us this report. Njue, if you can hear me, good afternoon. All right, we do seem to be having a technical issue in relaying that signal, but as soon as we have Njue, we will bring you up to speed with the latest. Remember, we do expect the CS for Interior, Kithure Kindiki, to be making his address and also assess the situation. But before then, environment and resource conservation stakeholders drawn from Kakamega and Nandi counties have agreed to protect River Yala and its tributaries against human destruction. In a joint meeting held at Kakamega Water and Sanitation Company headquarters, the conservationists assured of their commitment to fighting the effects of climate change and championing the preservation and conservation of River Yala springs that will in turn contribute to solving food shortage in the country as well as environmental conservation. River Yala rises in the Nandi escarpment. It then runs through the southeast of Kakamega Forest and then flows west for 219 kilometers to its mouth on Lake Victoria.
So as to improve on water security, food security and environmental security.
We are ready as county government of Nandi to support this program so that at least our people will enjoy a very good environment and we will be able to conserve our wetlands.
It's a very interesting project, being almost 80% women-led, and we are really looking forward to see it take shape and change the lives of people around the river water catchment.
In Migori, heavy rains pounding the country have caused infrastructure havoc in the county. Bridges and road culverts have been swept away by floods, with roads in flood-prone areas rendered impassable.
The ongoing rains have seen River Oyani in Migori County break its banks, sweeping off an intake pipe at the 1.29 billion shilling water project that supplies water to Migori town. Migori County Roads and Transport Executive John Oringo, however, attributed the situation to poor road maintenance in the past 2 years.
You'll understand, when rains come, it comes with its own intensity and it has its own effects. So that one has affected us. For sure, it has affected our performance.
In Kisii County, a humanitarian crisis is unfolding at Etago in South Mugirango after the perennial landslides hit the area, displacing over 80 people.
Tuko na manyumba karibu 84 zimekuwa damaged completely, yani zile ziko jini. Hizi ma permanent houses zimecrack, earthquake imepita, landslide iko hapo, sote zimeanguka ziko chini.
Victims have expressed fear of a waterborne epidemic outbreak owing to the damage caused to sanitation facilities, acute food shortage and lack of accommodation.
Maji ndio imekuja hata hapa kwa nyumba, iko kwa nyumba. Sasa hatuna pahali pa kukaa, kukura ni shida, hatuna hata chakula. Watoto tunayo wanaenda shule, sasa tunashindwa tufanye nini?
Maana tumeomba serikali ikiwezekana itusaidie kwa haraka, itatue msuzo kabla maafa kubwa hayajatokea ya wananchi kumeshwa na maji au kuwewa na maji na kufunikwa ndani ya utongo.
The residents have so far been advised to move to safer grounds to avert more loss of lives and property.
Kwa sasa ile ningependa kusema kwa niaba ya kamati ni kutoa wito kwa wale wananchi ambao wanakaa katika sehemu hizo ambazo tayari zimeonekana ziko na maafa, wahamie sehemu zingine ambazo tunaona ni safe, ni mahali ambapo wanaweza wakaishi pasipokuwa na wasiwasi.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, residents of Kivu location in Mwingi, Central Kitui County are up in arms and demanding closure of illegal sand harvesting, which they say has destroyed water sources in the area. They are now calling on the local leadership to stop the illegal business.
Residents of Kivu location in Mwingi Central Sub-County are an angry lot. Yesterday, they took their protest to the Department of Criminal Investigation offices in Mwingi, angered by what they say is illegal sand harvesting, which has destroyed many rivers in the area.
Tukuja hapa kwa sababu ya politics, tumekuja hapa kwa sababu sisi tuko affected by harvesting of this sand, kwenda Nairobi, kwenda Kabadi na kila mahali, na watu yetu wako kwa shida.
The move by the area residents comes a few days after Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officials arrested sun cartels for illegally collecting money from truck drivers who have been fetching sun in the area. The residents are also questioning how sun harvesting was thriving under the watch of security and county government agencies, yet it was banned years ago and the ban is yet to be lifted.
Wale wanauza mchanga hawakupatiwa barua na serikali ya kaunti ambao hiko, walipewa na ile ingine ambao sisi watu wa Kivu na Kivu River ilisimamishwa mchanga, na tujui walitumia njia gani ndio wapate barua ya kubeba mchanga yetu.
They are calling on the local leaders led by Governor Julius Malombe and area MP Dr. Gideon Mulyungi to ensure that the illegal business does not continue. Tilio Marco for Lunchtime News.
And now to a quite disturbing story where a woman has stabbed to death a 2-year-old baby in Kitengela, Kajiado County. Desperate neighbors unsuccessfully tried to break into the house to save the child. Kitengela officer commanding police station David Shani confirmed the 27-year-old woman identified as Olivia Nasserian has been arrested and the remains of her child taken to Kitengela Sub-County Hospital morgue.
27-year-old Olivia Nasserian was arraigned before Kajiado Principal Magistrate Jane Kamu 2 days after the brutal killing of her only child. In a disturbing video which we cannot show as recorded by neighbors at Milimani Estate in Kitengela, Kajiado County, 27-year-old Olivia Nasserian is seen repeatedly stabbing her 2-year-old baby Gloria while singing. The neighbors are hard pleading with Olivia to spare the child. All this in vain.
Stop! 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 Olivia, stop!
The neighbors say Olivia Nasserian locked herself in the house and was playing with the baby before she suddenly turned violent and began breaking items in the house, which caught their attention only to witness the gruesome act. They could not get access into the locked house. Upon being alerted by neighbors, police officers had to break into the house, but it was rather too late. Officer commanding Kitengela Police Station, David Shani, says the officers found the suspect unconscious, her teeth and clothes soaked in blood. Olivia was arrested and first taken to Kitengela Sub-County Hospital. The neighbors alleged the woman killed the baby after she parted ways with the father, but upon arrest, the woman said she killed the child because she does not love herself. Baby Gloria's remains were taken to the Kitengela Sub-County Hospital morgue. The accused will remain in police custody for the next 10 days to allow completion of investigations. The incident coming barely 2 days after a 27-year-old man killed his 25-year-old lover in an eatery in Kitengela in a suspected case of love triangle. Serafine Robi for Lunchtime News.
Quite disturbing. Moving on, a section of Gitamayu residents of Kiambu County have filed a petition seeking to recover a piece of land they say was grabbed from them in July last year. In the court's document, the residents under Gitamayu Residents Forum Welfare Group have sued Muiga Estate Limited, Dennis Kimani Kibe and Raphael Kibe Kimani over illegally acquiring titles to the land in contention.
The residents in the petition claim that Muiga Estate Limited illegally acquired land parcel LR number 5956/2, LR number 5956/6, while Kimani and Kibe jointly illegally acquired land parcel number 5956/5, LR number 96816, which are adjacent to each other. In the petition that is already before Justice Grace Kimei of Environment and Land Court in Thika, Kiambu County, the aggrieved locals have also challenged the Chief Lands Registrar and Director of Survey for surveying and issuing title deeds of the said land without consultations against the constitutional dictates.
Kulelewa, tukalea watoto, watoto wakalea watoto, na watoto wako na watoto. Wataenda wapi? Sisi ni ukomboa tunakoboa. Tutafanyaji? Na serikali iko itusaidie. na sisi ni watu wa serikali. Tukifuata kasi tunakuwa tunaenda huko Guruma. Tukifuata sakula tunapata huko Guruma. Na leo hata jia mamefunga sustiende huko Guruma. Tutakuwa tukifanya nini?
The residents who camped at the court are also urging the court to declare any act of government, agents or state corporations must conform to the national principles and values enshrined under Article 10.
And wazazi wetu na wameishi pale miaka na miaka, tumekuta wakilima huko, wakichota maji kwa hiyo kisima, hata wengine wamezikwa huko. Sasa imekuwaje wameweka fence, hata hakuna kupitia huko, maji yenye tulikuwa tunachota, hakuna kuchota, hakuna viwanja ya mpira. Sasa tunalia serikali tusaidie, hiyo ardhi irudi kwa hawa mama, ihurumie hawa mama.
Led by Bernard Mwangi Gashanja, the petitioners also seek to have the reportedly issued title deeds for the contentious land declared null and void for contravening inter alia articles.
Sasa wakati huu ndio tulikuja tukashigiliwa na Sigigi, tukafanya kunyang'anywa hiyo shamba, lakini tukapomoa pahali ndio watoto wetu wale wako shule wae wakipata nafasi ya kuenda shule.
Appealing before the court in a virtual hearing, the residents who claim to have lived on the contentious land since colonial times regretted that the respondents' actions are in disregard of the rules of natural justice and fair administrative action. The petition shall be mentioned on July 12th, 2023 to confirm compliance and for further directions on the hearing of the petition. Njue for Lunchtime News.
Very well, at about 25 minutes past the top of the hour, we are due for a first break, but allow me to appreciate Marceline. You say you are watching. Ben Jamtani, you say you're watching from Sotik, Bomet. And Abubakar Ocheng, you say you're watching from Kagan Ward in Homa Bay. Trizo Mboka, you're watching from Madari North, right here in Nairobi. Thank you so much for keeping it KBC. We still have more news on the other side of this break, so keep it right here.
What's wrong with Julia? What are they talking about?
I heard them say something about a capability assessment. What does that mean exactly?
There are two ways to test that.
How can you now say you believe in us 100%? And why bother telling us to work together as a team to improve our sales? Do you think all of us are just a bunch of idiots?
Though I don't know what happened in there just now, I do know how hard Julie's worked to help Immortal become what it is. So if Julie is leaving Immortal, then I don't see any good reason for us to stay.
So many have left. Aren't any of us worth trying to keep? No one.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that? No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Thanks indeed for keeping it KBC. Let's move on. Clinical health workers in Migori have benefited from a hemorrhage mentorship training program aimed at reducing maternal and infant deaths in the county. The mentorship package was rolled out by the national government to reduce maternal and infant mortality in the country. 32 clinical officers and nurses drawn across the county were trained on how to use the non-pneumatic anti-shock garment, a first aid mechanism that is meant to support and prevent postpartum hemorrhage in women during emergencies. Speaking during the mentorship program, Dennis Ochieng, the national master trainer on hemorrhage, stated that the program was a practical-centered approach aimed at training and mentoring the clinic health workers in order to improve maternal care in the country.
The mentorship package, so that when they go back to facilities, they are able to mentor their colleagues. Because we realized that in the hotel-based trainings, most of the participants and staffs, they get a lot of knowledge and skills in the hotel, but when they go back to the facilities, they are not able to utilize this knowledge and skills properly.
So we had a maternal death of approximately 392 per 100,000 live births that occur in our county. And as a county, we've had strategies put in place to try and reduce those numbers. Our fourth ANC attendance, that is the mothers who are coming to the clinic for 4 times, is at 50%, 52%. We would wish to be at 70%.
My first training was done in 2016, the old package that was rolled out from national. Like Matron had echoed, it had a lot of things, but of course they were useful. And I can say I'm lucky again to be here today to be trained on the new package that will also help us discharge our duties at the facility.
Let's now make sense of shillings and cents in business. Poor business scalability is discouraging multinationals from incorporating micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, into their value chains, as small businesses tend to stagnate operations after the first year. Unilever Managing Director Lak Ochieng says despite a majority of businesses in Kenya being MSMEs, products and services are compromised through the involvement of multiple small suppliers, which eventually impact revenues.
9 out of 10 businesses in Kenya are categorized as micro, small and medium enterprises, employing approximately 15 million Kenyans. Despite this, more than a third of these businesses die before marking their third year in operation, with almost 10% from this number stagnating after a year in operation. Unilever officials say this trend is worrying, especially when considering local producers for supply and the effect it would have on their expected output.
A barrier has always been, number one, consistency of supply and quality. And you find that because of those needs and because we also have large-scale demands, we then are forced to probably deal with big suppliers or look for aggregators who can then help to aggregate locally and then get to suppliers. So
they say this trend would also compromise on the quality and reputation of such businesses.
SME solutions must be simple, they must be practical, they must be localized and sustainable.
They're now encouraging multinationals to push for capacity building to meet their demand before considering importation or large-scale outsourcing.
Being a multinational, quite a significant portion of what goes into our production is imported.
Has been a huge gap. People are developing solutions in isolation. SMEs are developing products in isolation without working with the people who will eventually offtake it. And so if we address it that way, then we then can have them actually sell what they produce.
He says to unlock such bottlenecks, it is essential to address skill and knowledge gaps.
So we see this as a potential unlock for us, in terms of, for us as a business, getting to contribute towards the development of Kenya as such. And while at the same time, how can we bring back into the country the supply element?
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Now, consumers could save up to 70% of their electricity bills on some home appliances if they embrace energy-efficient and environmentally friendly appliances. Eric Kiprono, who is the head of AC division at LG Electronics, say with changing customer trends, erratic weather patterns and policy regulation shifts, appliance makers have had to make key improvements with newer models, saving the customer on electricity over time, as well as reducing carbon emissions.
We are able to incorporate artificial intelligence in terms of controls, in terms of innovation in our products, so customers can be able to interact with our products not only through the remote controllers, but also through the phone. Also, our products now are becoming more smarter. They can be able to sense the temperatures of the room, they can be able to sense the humidity, and after that they can be able to work accordingly to provide the customers with the comfort solutions. So by providing energy efficient solution, we are saving on the energy and also reducing the impact of using fossil fuels for firing the boilers and all this. So by these combinations of energy efficient solution, we are saving on the power of our customers, and hence now we are doing the sustainability.
And across the border, at least 20 traders in Kigali have been fined for unreasonably increasing the prices of maize, Irish potatoes and rice. This was after an inspection following a government decision to waive VAT on maize flour and rice and regulate Irish potatoes prices to help control food inflation in Rwanda. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines from across the continent.
Rwanda's Ministry of Trade and Industry officials says an inspection conducted in various markets across the country revealed that some traders had significantly increased food prices. Maize flour, rice and Irish potatoes are among the staple foods in Rwanda. The country's consumer price index increased by 19.3% year-on-year. In March, food and non-alcoholic beverages increased by 41.3% on an annual basis and increased by 4.3% on a monthly basis. The price of transport increased by 12% on an annual basis and was stable on a monthly basis. Meanwhile, the Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund has approved the first review of Tanzania's 3 years extended credit facility, allowing immediate disbursement of about $153 million in budgetary support. The IMF says Tanzania's economic reform program is progressing well in a challenging global economic environment, but authorities should work to boost domestic revenues while stepping up structural reforms to streamline bureaucracy and combat corruption. Finally, the South African rand slipped in early trade today against a slightly stronger dollar as a central bank leading business cycle indicator fell. The rand traded at 18.175 against the dollar, about 0.2% weaker than its closing level yesterday. The South African Reserve Bank leading indicator for February decreased 0.7% month on month, falling for the third consecutive month. Rand moves could be volatile this week as upcoming public holidays mean many traders will be away from their desks from Wednesday's close until next Tuesday. Terry Njenga, Lunchtime News.
Parliament is calling for a gradual phase-out of all thermal power stations, blaming them for the high cost of energy in the country. The Parliamentary Committee on Energy is also calling for a review of all contracts entered between the state and independent power producers, terming them as questionable. The committee noted that the situation had been worsened by the failure to complete several transmission lines across the country, especially the Ethiopia-Kenya transmission line that has worsened the situation.
According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics November report, thermal energy fed to the national grid hit a 30-month high despite a strong push by the government to phase out diesel power from the system. In this period, Kenya Power increased thermal power uptake to cover up for the declining contribution from hydro sources. This came at a time when there was a huge outcry over the rising cost of energy in the country. The National Assembly has been probing the causes of expensive power and have drafted a raft of proposals to reduce the cost of energy in the country.
We will not be very far from what's happening in South Africa or Zambia in the next 3, 4, 5 years, because there are no power plants being built today.
The Parliamentary Committee on Energy says intentional failure to phase out thermal power companies that are owned by powerful individuals is set to blame for the high cost of energy. The committee chairman Vincent Kawaya says it plans to review all independent power producers' contracts with the government.
What we want to unveil is a committee and to understand what are these interests that have caused us to retain expensive power producers in the system who continue to fleece Kenyans.
Addressing the press in Naivasha after meeting stakeholders in the energy sector, the committee has urged the Ministry of Energy to finalize the construction of various transmission lines. Some of the power lines, like the Narok-Bomet line, are expected to phase out the expensive Muhoroni gas stations as they are concerned about its delays. Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir has said the government will launch the Ethiopia-Kenya transmission line later this year, where Kenya will get an extra 200 megawatts from Ethiopia. Nduta Mokami for Lunchtime News.
Other news, the government is revoking maize import licenses for millers who sold their licenses to third parties. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi says the action by the millers has frustrated and delayed importation of cheap maize that was meant to reduce the retail price of maize flour.
On the 30th, we'll cancel those permits where the importer has not furnished us with the information in regard to importation status or progress of what we expect from him.
Our import is because we were sourcing from South Africa. We sent a team, but we were not able to get that. And then we also had the challenge for the off-takers.
Sababu sio lazima, si hapa si lazima. Hapana. Wewe kama una na wewe kama umekosa, wewe rudisha barua yangu. Urudishe, sina problem na wewe. Na si lazima. Lakini I must make sure that in partnership with the good people of Kenya and the good business people that we have here, because some of them umesikia wengine wameleta wanaitisha more, kandinja yake anasema iko tayari, huyu mzee amesema 90,000 iko kwa meza. Those are the people I want to discuss the problem of reducing the cost of food with.
In other news, former Naikara Ward Member of County Assembly Edward Njue has been elected the chairperson of the disputed Ongainet Group Ranch as members resist relocation. According to members of the ranch, there has been tussling of the land boundary with prolonged land cases, adding that the new leadership will ensure each member gets their rightful share. The new chairperson affirmed that no one will be evicted from their homes to create a conservancy and urged the government to protect them from impending eviction. The members claim that they have been isolated due to lack of representatives.
Tumekuwa tukisozana, tumekuwa kotini kwa muda ya miaka 4 na ikafika wakati ya kwamba tumekuja tukajadiliana na wana committee na ofisi ya land kwamba turudi adjudication section ama adjudication process ndio tuanzie pale.
Tumesaliwa mahali hapa Orng'aenet. Sio tumehamia, tumesaliwa mahali hapa. Tumezoea kuishi mahali hapa. Kwa hivyo tunaomba mtusaidie ili tuendelee kuishi mahali ambao tumezoea.
Tuligundua juzi tulitolewa wote hii cluster, tuwekwe cluster nyingine kwa sababu hatuna mwakilishi. Tuliamua leo tukija tuchagua Edward Njue atuwakilishe.
And in our weekly news feature, the cabinet today, we the former powerful minister during the Moi era, Davidson Kuguru.
His political career began in 1969 as Member of Parliament for Madeira constituency in Njue County. Kuguru was among a few people who had contact with his local community at different levels, having been a long-time health worker for the British colonialists. During the struggle for independence, Kuguru defied all odds to have injured Mau Mau fighters access hospital admission, an act of kindness that led to his arrest and detention. However, several national leaders, among them Daniel Arap Moi, recognized Kuguru's role in the freedom struggle. In 1983, Kuguru lost his Madeira seat to Eliud Matu Wamai, who was a close confidant of the then Vice President and Othaya MP Mwai Kibaki. His loss was seen as the death knell of his political career, but the electorate demanded his return to politics, and in 1988 he was re-elected as Madeira MP. In 1990, Moi appointed Kuguru as Minister for Home Affairs and National Heritage after the exit of Njue Town constituency MP Waroro Kanja. Kuguru became Moi's closest confidant in Njue upon Kanja's exit from the political scene and was named Deputy National Treasurer of KANU in 1991. This is after Mwai Kibaki walked out of government to form the Democratic Party. Kuguru's final stab at the Madeira parliamentary seat came in the first multi-party elections of December 1992, when his rival Wamai, who had since joined Democratic Party once again, trounced him at the ballot. The days of single party had come to an end, and every attempt he made to address gatherings in his constituency was met with hostility. Davidson Ngibuini Kuguru passed on in 1997 when he was still serving as the Deputy National Treasurer of the Kenya African National Union KANU Party. Today, his legacy in Madeira lingers on, and most of the projects initiated under his leadership remain arguably unrivaled. Jacqueline Macharia for the Cabinet.
Now, you walk into a supermarket or the shop near you and you pick your child, or your child picks a pack of puffed corn snacks. But have you ever wondered how this snack is made? The process, we focus on the process of making puffed corn snacks. Take a look.
We are received at the Flying Snacks Company on Nairobi's Enterprise Road. Time to adorn the right safety gear. That done, we get to see the ingredients used to make puffed corn snacks.
It consists of very basic ingredients. Obviously the key ingredient is corn, the corn grit. It's also the spice and oil. Those are the main key ingredients in the manufacturing of corn puffs.
This is a magic flavor food chutney which is the spice used.
The main successes of our story is that we source our ingredients 100% locally.
Corn grain, spice, and oil are the main ingredients in this process.
Step 1, the ingredients are mixed. They're first mixed in the mixer. Doesn't remove the moisture, but we do check the moisture of the product in order for it to be extruded when the product is being mixed.
Then the corn is extruded in the particular form and shape as desired.
So either we want cheese balls, either we want curls, either we want rings, either we want stars. We can adjust it in the bobbin, which is inside the extruder.
After the shape is formed, the corn is poured into the roaster.
It's roasted, so then we can get the desired crunchiness that our consumers love.
Next, it goes into the tumbler for oiling and coating. Finally, it is poured into the packaging machine.
And there's also nitrogen air, which is instilled into the product for it to stay fresh for a long period of time.
It is then laminated and sealed. The finished product is then transported to the market.
Snacks are an integral part of a child's life. Kenya's child population is estimated to be about 53%. That's children between the age of 0 to 14. We thought you should know the process that goes on behind creating some of the snacks that our children eat. Reporting from industrial area in Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Imano.
Talk of our children, I also do sometimes. Anyway, moving on, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority Director General Daniel Kiptoo says that the consignment of petroleum products which arrived last week will be used in next month's pricing cycle. Kiptoo says the fuel import agreement between Kenya and the Gulf will ease the dollar shortage, strengthening the shilling and help impact the price of goods in the country.
The first shipment of refined petroleum products under the new government-backed importation system docked at the port of Mombasa last week. According to the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Director General Daniel Kiptoo, the fuel imports will be used in the next pricing cycle next month. Kiptoo told participants at a webinar organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs, Kenya, that the new deal will not lower fuel prices in the country. Under the government-to-government deal, local fuel marketers will pay the fuel imported in Kenya shillings in a plan that is expected to ease pressure on the local currency, given that petroleum imports account for about a third of Kenya's import bill. Last month, Kenya issued its first fuel import tender where the government selected Saudi Arabia Oil Company, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company and Emirates National Oil Company to supply petroleum products on credit for the first 180 days with an extended credit period of 6 months. The EPRA Director General noted that if the deal does not work or if it experiences irresolvable hitches within the first 9 months, the government will revert to the open tender system. The deal is, however, facing headwind after fuel marketers went to court to block it.
Time to play, and we begin with soccer, where FKF Premier League leaders Gor Mahia today received a sponsorship boost of 800,000 shillings from Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo, which will go towards paying player bonuses for the past 5 matches. Kogalo currently tops the league standings with 56 points and are on the verge of reclaiming the league title they last won in the year 2020.
Gor, Gor,
Kenya Premier League leaders Gor Mahia were hosted to a breakfast meeting today here in Nairobi by Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo. The CS said that the government has set up strategies which will help in sports development in the country.
I will, as a fan again, do the much I can to assist this club. Of course, working together with friends and other fans of the club. I'm aware that you have been facing certain challenges, and I believe those challenges are not insurmountable. They are challenges that can be addressed.
He challenged the former champions to work smart as they look to reclaim the title they last won in the 2019-2020 season.
We reach out to certain friends elsewhere, perhaps in the private sector, to see if we can get an additional sponsorship for the club for purposes of the Champions League if you win the Kenya Premier League.
Kogalo boss Ambrose Racher said the main mission this season is to bag the league title.
We appeal to players who leave normally to use other means to try to get money from us, not rush to FIFA to go and give us a ban. For the last 2 years, we've not been able to recruit players because of the FIFA ban. Where do they come from? They come from our former coaches.
The team received a sponsorship of 800,000 shillings from the cabinet secretary, which will go towards paying players bonuses for the last 5 matches. Gor Mahia hopes to stretch their lead at the top of the league standings when they face Talanta FC tomorrow at the Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani. The team tops the league table with 56 points and 2 points ahead of defending champions Tusker. For Lunchtime News, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
A good welcome boost from Kenyan soccer to international soccer, where English Premier League side Tottenham Hotspurs have sacked interim manager Christine Stellini after 4 matches in charge. Meanwhile, Atalanta defeated Roma 3-1 in a Serie A match played at the Atleti Azzurri Stadium.
Ryan Mason, who worked under Stellini and took charge when Jose Mourinho was sacked in 2021, succeeds him. In 3 Premier League matches are on card today. Wolves will host Crystal Palace, Aston Villa will play Fulham, and Leeds United welcomes Leicester City.
Be sure to catch KBC Channel 1 in our subsequent bulletin for the results of those matches, including the big one tomorrow, Arsenal and Manchester City, which could be a title decider. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Njue. More news in our subsequent bulletin, including our social media platform, including our very beautiful kbc.co.ke. Thank you so much for watching, and we're keeping a keen eye on the Shakahola massacre in our subsequent bulletin. Have a good one.
Kupata sikiza tune hii ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#.
Haki umefanya vizuri sana kunifikia hii simu sasa. Nimekuwa na stress kutoka asubuhi kabisa. Na ni huyu mtu ambaye alikuwa anapatiana majina ya vitu. Kwani hakutufikiria sisi watu wa Eastern Ukambani? Ni nani alisema ati wife kwa Kiswahili ni mke? Na akasema ati handbaka. Hii inabebwa na mwanamke handbaka. Ati kwa Kiswahili ni kibeti. Huku kwetu mke ndiye kibeti.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962 hash. *811*962 hash.
Nilikuwa na njiwa wangu lakini akaniudhi. Tulipanga afike njiwa wangu hakuja we. Rudi porini sasa ndege sina njaa nawe maisha You are watching Grapevine, KBC Channel 1. This is Katoi Watabaka and the Music and the Jazz Band for you. I love you.
What's up, everybody? It's yet another time for you to get to know what has been happening around the world of entertainment.
Wagwan! Welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show. Kama kawaida, show moja ya vungu.
Show moja matata.
Miss V.
Yep.
My album launches kama zote.
Yes, we've seen so many artists releasing albums, EPs, songs. I mean, our artists are actually just overworking like they should, and we love to see it. Lion of Suda is out by Ben Soul. It's a really great album. You better check it out.
Alafu Jua Kali pia ametoa ingine, I guess a couple of weeks back, but you know it's never too late to celebrate our own. Pitisha Wajakoya mtu wangu umeshikilia sana.
That is Jua Kali for you. We have so many stories for you guys. We have been up and around just to bring you these stories. My name is Vivian Dago. You can simply just call me Miss V.
Jacques Muller, the party daddy, or you can call me Papi, aka your girlfriend. Go my number, man.
And you know what this right here is?
Grapevine, baby.
What you gotta do? We kickstart the show with a festival that has been happening throughout the month of April. They started off in Kisumu, then they went to Meru and Eldoret, and this weekend they were right here in the capital, Nairobi. A lot of artists got to take the stage, from the likes of Chris Pandovu Niku to Wakadinali, Mutoria, you name them. Check it out. We have to agree that Nairobians love to have a good time. Any opportunity to party is always welcome with open arms. Well, after Tusker Fest was launched right here in the capital the last week of last month, the concert finally found its way back in Nairobi after traversing different other counties from Kisumu, Meru, and Eldoret. Revelers converged at Quiver Lounge ready to have a night full of good music, or as they simply put it, a night of great vibes and inshallah. It kicked off with some hype session before Wangeshi, a